Hey, what's up everybody? Hau Rockstar Realtor coming at you from Elite Realty. I'm the realtor, you're the rock star, and today I've got a Robnostication for August and September 2021. You want to know what's happening in the real estate market? Well, get ready. I'm going to tell you. Let's rock and roll. Alright, so everybody, I'm in kind of a strange location right now, but this is on purpose. I have decided to do some of my Robnostications from different locations around my house. So it's a little less boring as far as just me always being in the office. I know you're just here for the information, so it doesn't really matter, but let me just show you where I'm at. I'm in my mudroom. There's a little look at my mudroom. I really love my mudroom. Mudrooms, they're pretty popular on the East Coast for the actual literal thing that they do, which is for people to come in and take off their shoes and whatnot, you know, when it's snowing and you've got to just stash stuff away. Mine is right by my front door, very near, and a friend of mine by the name of Jeff Hare built this for me, which is awesome. He did a great job. I love it. It's very useful. Even in Las Vegas, you'll see a lot of the new homes, they have these types of things. They have mudrooms. Really, it's just great for storage. You know, you can have a little hanger there for some extra clothes, or I like to use this side for athletic stuff and for my workout gear. And then up there I have some hats and shoes. Anyway, who really cares about all that? I'm just letting you know why I'm sitting here, and I'm going to be doing different spots around my house each time I decide to do a Robnostication or maybe other things. So let's get right to it. I wanted to give you some numbers that are happening before I get into my predictions.
Our Robnostications, the prognostications.
Right now, we are on time for what I call the traditional market. Now, this is kind of part of my prognostication that I've been saying.
It is not kind of, it is.
I have been saying that we're back to traditional movements in our market, which last year was anything but traditional. Okay, so this year we're back to traditional, where in the springtime it got really hot, intensely hot market.
The hottest ever.
We've broken records across the board in a number of different ways. Let me just tell you where we're smashing some records. In the luxury market, we are just decimating numbers of the past. Traditionally, there would be around 300 total over $1 million homes in a year's time sold. That would be traditionally. And this year, well, this year we're at 960 something already. We've done over 960 sales in the million and over market. Now, there are a few reasons for that. Number one, people do see the value versus buying in other markets, or maybe they're selling their property in those markets and they sell it for a lot more because those are higher markets for the million and above. And they come here and they find what they're looking for in the luxury market for a better price, a lot better price. Not only that, but some of the properties that were below $1 million not long ago have now increased to over $1 million. So they are now entering into the luxury market category, which is generally $1 million and up. Okay, so you're seeing that is a big reason why there's that influx there. Clearly, there are a lot of people that are coming here and they kind of want to insulate their situation, their own personal situation. Okay, they're making sure that they've got plenty of cash and that they're not house poor. They're making sure that they have cash savings and that they still have a badass house here in Las Vegas. You can do that if you're coming from these markets that have much higher value for those luxury homes. Okay, so you can sell your $3 million home, come here buy a nicer $1.2, maybe $1.5 million home than you would have wherever you're coming from. Of course, this is subject to where you're coming from, but we are a great landing spot for those folks. So, again, right on time for the traditional market. That means that during the spring and the summer, we get really busy, and then as we enter into the fall and certainly the end of the year and beginning of the following year, we slow down more. The volume-wise slows down. Although there are reasons to put your property on the market. If you have a fabulous property, it's going to be one of very few because there are less listings generally being put on that at that time. There's a lot to know in that category, but that is the basics of what the traditional, arriving to that traditional market is. So I've been saying that really since I saw the activity that was happening right before spring, that we are going to get back to traditional here in that way. And we have been anything but traditional in what we're seeing and experiencing in Las Vegas, of course. Speaking of, like, rents, the median rent price in Las Vegas is
$2,050.
that has gone up a lot, and that is a big driving force for people to get out of being in a rental. They buy and they can save money. I mean, you can buy a nice home and have a $1,500 payment for that house that you're probably spending $2,000 or more for. So, and that's pretty much happening a lot. So rents are extremely high, and there is a major reason for that. Of course, all the influx of people coming here, the demand, which means that there's not enough inventory even in the rental market, especially in the rental market, for the demand. Okay, but what you have to know here is that these eviction moratoriums have actually spurred higher rent rates. So this is why I'm totally against continuing them, because I feel like they have been a harm to the average renter, to the person that is renting their property and paying more and more, and having their landlord tell them, hey, the market went up, you're paying more this year for your property. Or if you need to go find another property right now, you're going to pay more, a lot more than you were in the past. And that has been because of these rental eviction moratoriums. I should call them eviction moratoriums. So while they are good in nature and the intent, they have definitely outdone their good, and I think that they have caused some harm. And there are people staying in properties and not paying the landlords. I don't want to get into all the number of things that should be happening. There is state money that should be spent and being, helped to move this along and not continue what might be not terribly legal eviction moratoriums right now. Moving on, forbearance. This kind of goes along with the eviction moratorium, and this is the part that I actually can say has been good, is the forbearance that's been happening. Now, forbearance is where people are not having to pay their mortgage for a period of time. The bank their lender is allowing them for a period of time to not pay. It's generally been a year, and then they've extended it for a little bit longer. Those extensions are coming up. They're going to come to a close, and they're doing workouts now. And I do like what they're doing. In one case, I found out that what they're doing is putting on a second on the home for everything that you owe, but your payment stays the same. So you have your first, and then you'll have a second, but your payment stays the same as you had it, so you're able to get back on track, but now you have this second that's going to be on the home for monies that are owed. I think that's great. That's a great way to work it out. I had heard that they were just going to basically refi, and they do offer a refi, but that may not be as advantageous to you. You might want to think about why that would be not as advantageous if you have things like private mortgage insurance that you want to remove later by refining the home completely on your own once you're out of forbearance. Now, it'll be a period of time till you can do that. I don't know if there'll be agreements that you can't refi for a little while, but you got to find that out and then make sure that you can refi the home later. And the second allows you to do that. Now, if you refi it now, then you have to wait even longer to be able to do that, and you're not going to be able to remove the private mortgage insurance. So, just a quick little guide on that. I'm bouncing around a little bit here, but I wanted to go back to the median home price that did increase here to $405,000. It went up to $405,000. It went up $10,000 again. This is where I'm going to start to make some of my Robnostications. So here is what you've been waiting for. You've waited long enough. The median home price rose in July to $405,000. That's another $10,000 from $395,000. I do think there's a strong possibility it will rise one more time in August, which would go right along with what I've been telling all my sellers, is that, and everybody, I've been telling everybody, this has been a Robnostication all along, that we would be strong through August, that this massive super strength would continue through August. And it has, and it will, and I do believe that it will equal that we actually hit another high for medium home prices. After that is where I think we stop seeing those increases. I think starting possibly in September, but for sure by October, we stop seeing increases in the median home price. And there are several reasons for that. There are several reasons why I'm starting to see that the market is doing a little bit of a change. Now, it's still incredibly strong, especially if you have a really nice home and you price it right and you let offers flow in and those things. But here's the thing that's happening. Sellers are overpricing their properties.
They're overpricing their properties sometimes by a lot.
And they're being stubborn about what they want because they think they're the only game in town. But buyers are balking at that. They're saying that you might be the only game, but I'm going to have to wait you out. And that's why we haven't slowed down, even though there's been more inventory. There has been more inventory. An increase started, I think it was in May of 0.5%, almost nothing. But I said, Robnostication, I said it was going to increase. It went up 8.8% in June, and it went up another 5-point-something% in July. Okay, so we're seeing increased inventory. Why is that happening? Because sellers are overpricing their property. They're not selling as quickly. It's taking a little bit longer. And if you are pricing your property right, and it's a nice, awesome property, and it's highly desirable, it's going like that. Not because you're selling it for less. It's because you're selling it smart. You're doing the smart thing. Now, that's what I think people should be doing. But right now, we have a lot of seller greed in the market. That green really got you sellers in the market going greedy on me. And I think you want to be very, very careful. We are in the precipice of the changing market. It is happening right now. And if there's one thing my mother told me a whole lot when I got in this business, by the way, my mother's been in real estate in Las Vegas since 1976. I happened to be in her belly when she went to her real estate school for the first time. So I always say I went twice. But she has been telling me since forever, really, that in good markets, sellers always get greedy. They're going to get greedy. You have to not worry, but you have to deal with and try to give them the information to help them not allow that greed to take over the market. Yes, it has been incredibly strong still, but if you're a seller and you're feeling like I'm going to set that price and I'm going to get a buyer to pay it, well, you better have something that's really, really going to make that motivation happen for the buyers. All right? If you don't have something, if you have something that people can move on and wait for something else, if you're really, really overpriced, if you're basically just unreasonable, well, I also can understand that if you're thinking, well, I'll move if you pay me. In other words, you pay me my price, I'm happy to move. I get my price, I'm happy to move. Now, that might be happening with several sellers out there, but in general, I actually think it's just more of the greed variety. And I understand if you're just like, hey man, pay me a bunch of money and I'll move. I understand that move. So also what's happening, so on top of the greed is what starts to happen is that you see the price drops. We are seeing price drops like crazy because you'll see people try to price their property for a price, and if they can get it, then they're happy and they move along. If they can't, well, now they're in the position of having to drop their price. This is a terrible move if you're a seller in my mind. Okay, it doesn't mean that you've made the worst decision by overpricing your property, but you haven't made a great decision, and I'm going to tell you why. It's showing your cards. It's basically saying, here is one of my cards. If you're playing poker and you just showed somebody one of your cards, that's a lot of information to give. I find that to be the same thing here. Okay, when somebody says, I'm going to lower my price, it says, all right, I realize this price isn't going to work. I got to lower it. I got to make it more reasonable for you. And I do want to sell the home. I do want to sell it. So come in and bring me an offer. And that tells buyers that they can come in and bring you an offer, maybe more where it's comfortable for them, and maybe ask you for more things like concessions and things. And why would you want to do that? Why wouldn't you want to get multiple offers that tell you the value of your home to that buyer?
Right now, that's what's happening.
That's not always going to be the way it happens, but that is what's happening. And it's going to continue for a little bit, especially if you price your home intelligent. So we got 130 new people coming to Vegas every day. 5.4 every hour are coming to Las Vegas. That means we're still getting a nice influx of people. Most of those people are coming from California, but you might be surprised as you go down the list where other places that they're coming from, like Florida and Arizona, and Washington State. I mean, surprising places really that you might not think would be number one. There's plenty of people coming from all over the place to Las Vegas. But that said, we are in a changing market. I have some big things that are coming to my mind about how much that's going to change over time. I don't want to say anything just yet. I need to let a couple of pieces of information come in over time. But right now, it's no longer the peaking of the clouds. Inventory is coming back on. We're still in a terribly strong market, but if it was pinning before, it's moving back. And I think it's just going to keep doing this, folks. We're going to get back to even, if you will, of more traditional, maybe slightly seller market, but maybe just in between there, buyer and seller market over time. Certainly, as we round into next year, it could be a very good time to be a buyer versus right now. That might be something you would want to put in your mind if you're thinking of buying, if you've been sitting on the sidelines, if you have time to wait. That might be what's happening here. Now, I think where it was very difficult to predict things was last year, so we kind of had to be careful about what we were saying. But in this case, I think that everything that I'm telling you is solid, rock solid stuff that's going to come out as time goes. So next month, we're going to have more inventory on the market just by a little bit, and the following month, a little bit more. And with kids getting back to school, we got the traditional movements of the market happening. Be ready for that. And if you are somebody that can actually brave through like all the activity that happens during the holidays and things like that, that may be your best time to purchase. All right. That said, if you're a seller and you've got an amazing property, it's still going to be great for you. But if you're looking for the absolute best moment to sell, it actually may be behind us. It actually may be behind us, or we're virtually in that moment, or it was last month. It's sometime in the last 30 days at the very best time to sell your property. I think it only gets incrementally less attractive for you to sell your home as time goes on. Still, we have the comparables that we'll be at. We'll have the comparable sales. Well, your value of your property is going to hold for a while. So you haven't lost anything. You've only gained. So sellers, not to worry. It's not a worry. I'm just saying if you wanted the absolute best, you may have missed the boat a little bit. We'll see what happens. We'll see if my Robnostications are correct. I'd love to hear from you. If you have any questions about what's happening and what's on my mind coming up next, I'd love to hear it. Keep an eye on my website, SummerlinSouthHouse.com, for everything Summerlin South. And if you're looking for a realtor, well, now you know how. You don't need to look anymore. Are you ready to put your home on stage or go on tour to find your next home? Well, Rob Hau, Rockstar Realtor, is here to help you. I'm the realtor, you're the rock star. Let's get it going. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one.